Hello, and welcome to the Rollwise Show, the place where we talk about tabletop RPGs. Today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a Reddit dive as we found an interesting thread by the user Iberians, Iberians.
Iberians, I think is how I said it in my
Hmm,
head, but I don't know. Usernames, that's one of those things where you never quite know how somebody's going with the pronunciation. So,
it's true, and you know what? Really, all we can credit them for is the fact that they got a great discussion going, where people got to argue about their most favorite unpopular opinions, which in some cases may have turned out to be the popular opinions. It's always weird how that kind of morphs back and forth between the two. Um, and so I think we've got a lot of takes in there that I thought were really interesting and worth discussing, as well as just kind of course, starting off with their original post to see what the groundwork was for
sure.
what is your favorite unpopular opinion about RPGs. Because honestly, I think it gets a little spicy in parts. You know, some people get a little bit up in each other's business about this, and a thread about unpopular opinions is bound to draw a little bit of antagonism in the community, and that's fine. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
It's healthy. It's healthy to argue
No,
about shit
I
in a good way.
actually, I didn't think it got a little spicy, but I thought everybody kept it mostly civil.
Mhm.
And we're trying to present their sides, and I didn't see like a lot of name calling.
Mhm.
Um, I did not read absolutely every response.
Yeah.
There was a few
Well,
where I was like, okay, we're we're off in the sub thread into something else that
yeah.
is not related. So I'm tracking back.
Well, and what's interesting is that I mean, truthfully, with these kind of things, whatever is determined as to be the top by the consensus of the visitors and everything like that. That's what you kind of get fed in this, and it's not bad. I mean, it just means that of all, and so like there are some ideas that naturally outpace, and of course, it's really hard to find those on the opposite spectrum because at least as of this taping, ooh, I get to use the word taping, how fancy. We we have 1,600 comments in here. That's a lot. That's a lot of comments to
It's a
pick
lot.
through.
I read comments for 2 hours and I did not get near 1,600. So
I don't know. I kind of what I did is I kind of sabotaged myself because I was reading them top down, and then I switched it up and I went to controversial, and I was like, oh, some of these top comments are also controversial comments. Uh-oh. And I kind of retread some of the same ground twice. I don't know. We'll see. But today we're going to be talking about it. I think it's fun. It's interesting to see what people are doing. And so, of course, anybody that's listened to this, I think what you guys can do is if you want to throw your own unpopular opinions in the comments, that's great. You know what? We won't judge here.
yeah,
You
we
can
won't
have your,
judge.
you
We'll
can.
respond to your hot takes, but we won't judge.
Mhm. Yep, we won't. And just also as a side note, Brent is going to be on a little bit of a hiatus. He's going to be coming back hopefully soon, and we'll be picking up with things like Wild Sea hopefully, and all that a little bit later. But it's just going to be me and Jeff for tonight, and maybe a couple more episodes down the road. So if you have anything you'd like to see us talk about, of course, jump in the comments again and let us know what you'd like to hear about. Have any books for us to read? Have any systems you'd like us to try? Never know. All right. I'm done being over the top. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go down deep in this. All right. So I think the first thing that we have to do is we have to hit the top comment because this is actually where I think most of the spice in the thread was located. And the
Sure.
top comment by Molten Dragon. Now, just as in full transparency, I don't know any of these people, nor do I have any relationships. So knowing people on the internet, that's weird. But Molten Dragon wrote the comment that was too many RPG designers are forgetting that they are supposed to be games. I'm not a fan of all the collaborative storytelling with some very vague rules tacked on systems. And so I think the first thing is initial comment, gut check, agree, disagree. It's complicated. Where do you sit on that?
It's complicated because I feel like I understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
That they personally want more rules and more structure.
Hmm.
but I don't think that that holds for everybody. And there was a time in my life when all I played was D&D, and that was a lot of structure. And now we do a lot more storytelling games, and I have fun in sessions where we almost throw almost no dice for the entire session.
Hmm.
Um, and I still have fun. So I don't know that I necessarily agree with him, but I will say that I have seen products out there that feel like they could have used a few more guidelines or rules or things to keep things coherent
Hmm.
during the game. It's fine to hand wave and go whatever the players think is best, or however you want to play it. But I think too much of that, and then we're just sitting around in a circle telling stories, which can be a game. That's the
Hmm.
This came up not just in this, primarily in this thread, but it came up in other threads I saw. Um, so I think it's complicated. Because a lot of it depends on what you're looking for in a role playing game, and what
Hmm.
your group likes to do, and how you like to do it. Right? Because it's
Sure.
What about you? What did you
Well,
think?
so I actually like it because it is complicated. I mean, the idea of what is a game versus what isn't a game isn't that complicated. That I don't feel is complicated. But what I think that they're probably in the face of is, as you said, there's types of games, and I really like what's interesting about Reddit is I find very sharp and very concise responses to this that provide a very good amount of information, and I really like reading those takes because in that sense, it's something you can actually learn from. And I would have to say that like, oh, I don't believe that these games with tacked on systems are games. It's like, dude, games are so simple. Like, I just watched a Doctor Who episode where they played the game against whatever, and it was about a game of catch. So I mean, there's not a lot that really is required in terms of rule, in terms of structure, in order to
Right.
create the game. Now, what I empathize with in this situation is there's probably a certain sense that a lot of games have kind of joined this vogue, rules light, one page RPG, minimalist structure, and all that. Where I hate to say is that while it's very nice and can create a very free form and creative play experience, they're just looking for more structured gameplay. And it's easier to design games that don't have a lot of those systems, subsystems, and et cetera, and all that kind of stuff, because those take work. And as an emerging
It's
game
true.
designer, you may feel like that's what you want to do, but it's not easy to design or borrow and remix hundreds of rules to get
No,
your
it's
super
not.
crunchy system off the
Or
ground.
or to create dozens, if not hundreds, of tables to get
Hmm.
very, very specific results. If this,
Yeah.
then this, then this, then this. You
Yeah,
know,
and so I think I empathize that where if the culture is going to lighter and more collaborative storytelling, there is a part of me that goes, "Well, I do like a certain amount of crunch. I mean, I can have fun in that rules light and everything. And in fact, I just played a one page RPG last night called Adventure Skeletons, and Grant Howitt, I think that's his name, from Rowan Rook and Decker.
yeah.
Um,
How I think
uh,
it's how it.
Grant Howitt, he basically, he seems to be a master of these one page RPGs, and he provides a lot of them for free. So you can have pretty much just a fun improv night. And I consider that just as much of a game as when we bust out Coriolis on Wednesday and we talk about taking radiation damage and Nakatra stalking you through the hallways. Like,
Yeah.
they're both equally valid games. It's just that I feel like the argument is more towards the culture shifting to these lighter game sets and everyone kind of taking a bite at the apple with fewer rules and making the players and the DM do most of the work.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So that's my take. I don't know if that's particularly complicated, I guess, but um, do you feel like, and so I guess in your case, I mean, is that something you feel has kind of been the cultural zeitgeist shift, or do you still feel like that's still a fairly robust scene for any type of game that you want to play?
I I think in general, storytelling has become more important.
Hmm.
Because even with the OSR and the new OSR or whatever else they're calling
Hmm.
it, a lot of those games have bigger storytelling elements, even with a little more structure. They're not
Hmm.
as crunchy. as AD&D, right? They're not as crunchy as Pathfinder,
Hmm.
which I think is one of the crunchier, you know, super popular games.
Hmm.
Um, so I think storytelling has become more important, but I think different people have different wants and needs, and different groups have different expectations. And some people want a lot of freeform storytelling to go wherever their imagination takes them, and some people just don't want to do that. We've talked about it a lot. You've got different player types even within a group that wants storytelling. You might have a single player that doesn't like doing some of that, or isn't comfortable doing that, or coming up with stuff off the cuff.
Hmm. Well,
So while
might,
it's more commonplace.
yeah, might need to get just a little closer to the mic or adjust. There you
Okay.
go. Sorry about that.
No,
So
I tend to move when we sit here. So
that's okay. So no, I get that 100%. So I mean, I would think that is maybe it's an unpopular take because it's like fighting against progression in the hobby. You know, like not letting a branch of the hobby kind of have its own thing. But I do feel that it is an interesting take at least to say. Don't give me your crappy tacked on systems. Give me something different, and that's fine. I think that's
it
fine.
is.
So, what about you? That was my first take that really stood out to me, and since it was the first one on the list, I thought it was an easy, low hanging fruit.
It is. It is. Actually, one of my favorite ones was. This is just the first post. I'm sorry to whoever posted it. I did not grab their name, their username. Most games are crap at teaching the GM how they should run the game. I am leaving out some words because they swore more than I do. They go on with great details about what the bonus to add to which die and when the character is shooting with their offhand, but they don't tell you what's most important: how the game should be paced, how an adventure for this game should be built. It just assumes the GM already knows how to GM. And I, I kind of feel that as somebody who, for the first time last week was GMing for the first time in a long time.
Mhm.
Some books go out of their way to tell you stuff. Like I think Mothership does an excellent job telling you how to GM a Mothership game, and
Mhm.
other books are just they throw all of this stuff at you, expect you to read approximately 8,000 rules, and then remember how to apply all of them in the heat of the moment. When stuff is crucial, and
Mhm.
I, I think that there should be more information about how to GM and how to plot and how to write and pacing, especially. Like,
Mhm.
think of all the campaigns that you've played in where the story was fine, but the pacing was ass. Like, those are the ones where you're like, yeah, I just sat there and wanted to stab the pencil into my hand, just so I could feel something.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I mean, I think it's always hard because there was, and you know what I just remembered? We didn't actually read the initial post, and maybe we should do
Yeah, we
that.
should go back. Like, yeah, you should
Yeah.
read the initial post.
Because I think that in terms of how like that like what is a role playing game section, I kind of agree with that premise that that they try to tell you what a role playing game is, but they don't necessarily elaborate very much on the how to play this game. Some games do. Don't get me wrong. Like I
Some
think
do.
Mothership is a great example because the Warden's Manual is chock full of great advice, for as short as it is, on how to run a sci-fi horror game. Like what is how does the pacing play out? How does how do you resolve things in an interesting way without feeling like it's just 100% failure? They could still succeed, but they still fail a little bit. Like how do you as the warden make the right call to incorporate their play style and stuff? So I mean there is a way to do that succinctly, because I mean if you think about the warden's manual, it's not a very long book. I mean, if you
No,
think about how much is written in that, you could apply that type of methodology to any game. A four like a there are so many books where like a 400-page book could easily have 15 pages in a similar style of how to play the game, how you can adjudicate things more effectively, all that stuff, instead of what's a polyhedral dice. Hmm.
yeah, I realize there's people out there that don't know that. I like every book could be being read by somebody for the first time that's
Mhm.
not familiar with role playing games. So I don't think you want to gatekeep it to that, assume that everybody knows everything, but
Gatekeep.
there are some books that go too far the other way and really lay out too much basic stuff that I think a lot of people already know.
Or they might just not be well written in general. Like
Yeah.
me and the Marvel Multiverse RPG. I have a game playing this Sunday for that, and I actually don't think I like the system. I'm going to say that now. I haven't even played the
That
game yet,
happens.
but I have some doubts in my mind. I hope all those will be relieved when I play on Sunday and have the best of time, and it totally removes all the doubts that I have. But I'm not sure. We'll find out. But you know what? Let's circle back a little bit. Let's go to the actual post which sparked this wildfire of
Yes.
conversation. So Iberians. Let's go with that. Iberians. Hello, guys. I would like to read your unpopular opinions regarding RPGs. It can be about anything directly related to RPGs, from mechanics to conventions. Well, then I'll go first and start with a bit of mine. The good news is they didn't just like ask. They were like, I'm going to throw shit right now. And so
Yeah.
I can't understand how trivial mathematical operations of addition have become frequent complaint of too much math about games in some RPG spaces. Fair. Many games that are sold as easy because they have few rules actually require players and GMs to do all the heavy lifting as the developer didn't do, meaning that many games are sold as rule light, one page, etc., because those things sound so fancy now they are unplayable as they are. Cinematic being a buzzword for elevator pitches disappoints me greatly. RPGs require some investment of time to truly appreciate as they should be played, so knowing many different systems is only necessary if the intention is to develop your own game. Someone can play a single system their entire life and be a very happy player in the hobby. Bonuses for acting are one of the worst things that have ever happened to this hobby. I hate the what is an RPG section of rulebooks. It seems like soulless content to artificially inflate the number of pages. Instead, I prefer to read what a specific game does, just like we were talking about there. The GM is a player, not an impersonal entity, yet with the asymmetrical role in the game scheme, but still a player. Everyone should let him roll at least a few dice at the table, edited for clarity. This is an unpopular opinion. It's not about rolling dice, but about treating the GM as a player and bringing them into the fun aspects of gaming. And then adding one more, there shouldn't be my table, my players, my game. I find it somewhere between amusing and detestable when someone approaches things that refer to them in that manner. RPG is a shared gaming experience, and I think deep down, nobody likes to be spoiled guy who acts like he owns the ball. Note, it's not about effective use of the pronouns my, it's about the attitudes of owner of the table. And then, of course, and then you, what are your favorite unpopular opinions? Thanks for the answers. Upvote. I gave it an upvote. I think people should respond to this.
Yeah. Sure. No, I think it's a good discussion because it shines a light into things. Sometimes we just assume that our opinions and the opinions of the group that we're with are the opinions of everybody that plays these games, and they're not. One of the things I love about role playing is that you can do almost anything in almost any way that you can imagine, from really hard, like things that are probably should still be considered war games than role playing games, to one pagers with like 3 prompts, and it's essentially an improv exercise. You know, those probably for me are the two ends of the spectrum, and everything in between. And so you can learn other people's opinions and why they have them, and get a different perspective on the hobby that you love. So
yeah,
I like posts like this.
Well, yeah, and I think everyone is willing to shit on something, right? I mean,
yes,
like it's always, it's always so weird to gush about stuff, but I think when you add that kind of, well, what is your unpopular opinion? Get it out there. People really just seem to jump on that, which is awesome.
I did like his comment about too much math. There was a couple of direct responses to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, one guy was actually a roulette croupier at a casino, and he's like, it's exhausting to do basic math computations hours at a time. It's exhausting. It isn't that the math is too hard for me. It's that doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is exhausting. But the comment that I liked the best on the math one was, when people complain about too much math, they're really trying to say too much cross-referencing stuff and a lot of modifiers you can forget that slow down the game. Like when you've got to look at the sheet and I have to add this and 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 this to the dice that I rolled, there's
Oh,
a problem with your system.
did you remember that situational modifier?
Right. Did you remember the situational modifier? Oh, and because your name is Todd, you get to roll an extra D4. Like,
Mhm.
like,
No.
yeah. Uh, when the game gets too fiddly, it's for me not super fun. There may be people out there who are like, yeah, no, I like having 15 different modifiers on every roll of the dice.
Hmm. Well, and like some people really like that about previous editions of D&D, where you could just have unlimited number. Whereas like D&D Fifth Edition, one of its things that people really liked about it was that whole bounded accuracy thing, where you really never got numbers of a billion.
Right.
You could never reach the realm of the gods as easily in that, or at least in terms of your die roll. So I feel that, because I feel like when people say, and I'm guilty of this too, because Thaco is this kind of like almost just bad word now. Thaco wasn't terrible. I mean, it was
It
just
wasn't
you.
terrible, and most of us knew how to do it back in the day.
And you knew how to
Is it
do it off the.
intuitive? Maybe not. To the people who designed it, it was.
Well, yeah, and it's not, and I mean, it's not crazy bad. Like,
No, it's not
I'll
crazy
I'll,
bad.
I'll be honest. The first time I tried to play GURPS, second edition, I think it was, I bounced off it pretty hard because I was like, what am I doing here with the cosine of an elephant? I what?
Yeah.
So there was definitely some games that required a little bit more math back in the day, but like trivial math like Thaco, like it was more of an annoyance that people had, that just kind of grew into this cultural lingo that's like, oh, is it like Thaco? Like that's all it really is. I don't think anybody actually like found Thaco to be impossible to calculate. So um but speaking of games, on the flip side, I wanted to say that one of the comments that I really thought was good, and this is not necessarily about math or anything like that.
Sure.
It actually hits two of the points that the initial poster had stated, was that, or one point and then one second point, is that multi-year campaigns being expected to be the norm is pretty ridiculous. Did you see this post?
I saw that one.
Yeah.
I have it. I've got like 2.5 pages of like the first
Oh,
comment, and then I
gotcha.
have several highlighted. I don't
Mhm.
think that's one of the ones that I went like, yeah, I'm going to put that in like my top 10, because I knew we weren't going to do a 9-hour video talking about our favorite 100 comments.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I
I did
like
see
this
that
one
one.
is because culturally, it's like we've kind of normalized the idea that every time a group of gamers gets around a table, they're going to play a multi-year grow old with your friends level campaign, where you reminisce on your rocking chair at the nursery home about year 37 of your campaign. Like
Yeah.
that's the impression I think people get, and especially when they look at Critical Role and they look at all these other things where extended campaigns have happened, or the people that have devoted their life to this hobby and they say like, well, yeah, I've had a 10-year campaign. Like that suddenly becomes like this thing. And I would love to say that I've had campaigns that long. I haven't. A couple of years, maybe at the most. I think it's the longest I've ever gone was with a campaign, which
I don't
still
even think I made it that long.
it still feels pretty Titanic, but like these days, I mean, I agree. Like the expectation that this poster has said is that since that's the norm and most campaigns fizzle out, like that's not good gameplay. And I mean, well, I'll be honest, we've had campaigns start and fizzle, like
We have.
they have
Sure.
died on the vine, and we've moved on to greener pastures because something happened. But I like that they said, a tight 1 to 7 session adventure is a lot better. You can get an actual conclusion to your play, and then you get to play for the next one. And if you really want to, you can continue play. Nothing stops you from
Or you
continuing to
can
play.
play an arc, right?
Yeah.
In my head, it's an arc.
Mhm.
But you can do that and then continue on with the same characters, or some of the characters go on, some of them drop out, and some new ones come in.
Mhm. Well,
I
and
don't see a problem with that.
but I do like how there was like the comment at the end that was like, joining a table should be a fun pastime, not a years long sentence.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there goes my Curse of Strahd game. Sorry, guys.
Well, no. I love the idea. I
Mhm.
love the idea of trying to play through the world's largest dungeon or something. In my head, there really is. There's a part of my brain that's like, I really want to try that and take a character from level 1 to level 20.
Mhm.
Um, but every week, every player, no one gets sick, no one takes vacations, no one gets any time off.
Mhm.
The reality of it is that most groups can't do it, in my opinion. If you're doing it and you're enjoying it, more power to you. I hope it's great because in my head, there's a part, like I said, there's a part of my head where it sounds great.
Well, in full disclosure, we are trying to go through the Coriolis Third Horizon main campaign. I have all the books ready. We're almost through the last Flight of the Ghazali. Um, we have that one that we're doing. So we are doing it ourselves. We're trying it. I'm not sure if we'll
We're
be able to
trying.
make it, but my goal here is to follow this guy's advice, or girl, I don't actually know, whatever, this poster's
Person.
advice.
Yeah.
And basically, and this is how I'm going to keep this long campaign going, which I don't think is new or innovative, is to say, okay, we've done a story arc. Let's play something else for a small period to give ourselves a little bit of a brain break and then come back to it. And that gives me time to go, okay, well, how exactly am I doing in the whole play of this game? Like, is it fun? Is it enjoyable? What isn't fun? What can we do better as we go through these books? Because I hate to say it, these books are written fairly linearly in terms of some of the story as far as
Right.
I've read.
Sure.
But I don't really want to do that because after the last Flight of the Ghazali, I think I'm going to we'll have a little game review after that. And you guys did it to me again. No, that's okay. You'll find out later. Oh, spoilers beware.
Oh, yeah.
But next, the next thing that they said was on multiple systems point. Yes, people can totally play one system happily their entire lives. That's assuming they just want to play games that fit that system all the time. Classic example is 5e. If all you want to play is because you're a diehard fantasy, fantastic, go right ahead. Survival horror in space, probably some time to look for something else. And honestly, I think before starting this channel and before WotC was kind of the bunch of assholes that they turned out to be a little bit. I mean, 5e is a good system. I mean, somebody can say what they want about it, but 5e is a fairly good system. It's good enough that you can do a lot of things in it. It plays that heroic fantasy well enough. People know of it, so people want to play it. If you happen to say, "I have a table. Anybody want to join in?"
Yeah.
It's got a lot of good things going for it. And I mean, there were enough adventures that people had published that we could, play through or homebrew or whatever it is. So it's not like we needed to branch out. But now that I branched out, I'm not.
Once you get away from it and you see what other things are out there and what certain things can be when you let go of some of the conventions of Dungeons and Dragons,
Mhm.
it is hard to go back. I would play 5e again. I know that I talk a lot of shit. I would play Pathfinder again. I don't think that they're the same system, but they are from similar roots.
Mhm.
Um, so I get it, but if that's all you and your group want to play, right? I hope that you're enjoying it. I really do. There's nothing wrong with playing one game and loving it. There's also nothing wrong with every couple of months trying a new system.
Mhm.
If you have the right group for it, because some people don't want that. Some people want the comfort and the understanding and the security of knowing how a
Mhm.
system plays because you can push it further.
Mhm. Yep. And I think I think both tables are healthy, and I think that's something that's kind of interesting to me is that what's funny about all these unpopular opinions and all that kind of stuff is that like I would love to believe that like as an RPG enthusiast and a hobbyist that we're kind of a monolithic group of people that we all share the same opinions about everything, and that is not at all true. Like
That's true,
there's
right?
I feel that like system tribalism is really a thing. Like, we
Oh
had
no, it is. It
you
is.
definitely have people that are gonna, be like D&D diehards. You have people that are like, I played Powered by the Apocalypse games and I am like it's like my third eye opened. I had like a metaphysical experience, you know, and everyone exists on that spectrum. And so and to me, that's cool. Like, I mean, obviously, I don't think that they should be fighting each other in the forums about their game is the coolest and best, because that's not productive. But it's just interesting that people really like, oh, this is my favorite game, and you know, it's like I get a good feel from it, or I like the mechanics or whatever it is.
No, I there was one where you're saying that trying new things. There was one comment that they let off, and they said, "I don't think it's a mandatory. It's mandatory to know how many different systems.
Mhm.
But as a GM, I love reading systems because as each one focuses on some things, you start to see the whole of the RPG picture. Like I like that. I like seeing what else is out there and how you can push these systems and get them to do different things that you hadn't really considered.
Mhm.
You know, uh, I I like that a lot. And as I read more books, I think I'm becoming a better player. I don't know if I'm a better GM because I don't do it enough.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, that muscle doesn't get exercised a lot. But I am becoming a better player the more I read books and the more I see different prompts. And you can take some things and translate them into other games and help you think about them differently.
mhm.
And I enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. And honestly, like that, I think that learning about the hobby is my favorite thing that we've done from this. And it doesn't mean I'm the best GM. Like I'll be the
Right.
first to admit that you guys, everyone can go watch my live stream things and they can see how good or bad I am at any time.
That's true.
And you know, and it's like, because you know, you guys see it, you guys can see that I've had some success and some I haven't, like for example Fabula Ultima, a game that I've been thinking about a lot lately because of their upcoming Kickstarter. But moving on,
Yeah.
so I guess do you have any others that really stuck out for you in terms of
I had a couple, but I'm trying to see if I've got. I Okay. I like this one. I don't know if anybody else liked it. Oh shit! I just lost it. Oh, okay. Flavor isn't free in D&D. Most actually, but whatever. Healing is divine magic. Human
mhm,
magic can't do it. That is flavor. It tells me something profound about the world. If you make a cleric but reflavor it into a wizard, you aren't reflavoring, you're erasing flavor. Like having restrictions on stuff is
mhm,
part of what makes the flavor of the game.
mhm.
Letting everybody do everything takes away the flavor. Like you just become superpowered beings wearing different clothes
Yeah.
to,
And I
to
wonder if
some degree.
that extends to the idea, you know, like there's classless games and kind of you build yourself up from that. I wonder if that kind of plays into that feel somewhat, or if it's just more that like you kind of like you as you diminish these separations, like divine magic is still magic, right? Like,
It's still no, it's still magic. No, no, we
mm,
we agree on that. It's just
mm,
this. I like the idea that the source of the magic, right? Like
mhm.
warlocks should have a different flavor because they owe
A pact.
something to yeah
Yeah.
they made a pact. I actually saw
Mhm.
something funny. I think it was on YouTube. It doesn't matter. I should give credit to somebody, but I just don't remember who it was. But they basically said because a lot of people play warlocks because they're slightly broken in D&D 5th edition, right?
Well, especially in the most played levels between 1 and 5, right?
Right, and well, like, between 1 and 5, and especially with somebody multi classes, right?
Mhm.
Just so that they can get Eldritch Blast. And somebody goes, when your warlocks start getting out of control, just have their pact holder, come up out of the ground and go, put on the little outfit. Remind them that their power is not unlimited, that they do owe some, toll to
Mhm.
a higher being of some kind.
Yeah, I wonder. You know, I'd be curious about that. Because I am. I'd wonder how many times the warlocked pack actually comes into play. Because what I feel happens is that you play this. You know what this. adventure, this one-shot adventure with a warlock, and you get all the benefits that a warlock has, but you get none of the
None
drawbacks
of the
because
drawbacks. Yeah.
because you're like, oh, there's somebody that has a pack. Or are they going to come say hi to me on this one shot? Unlikely.
Hey guys, I'm gonna use Eldritch Blast again. I'm gonna kill things. What are you doing? Oh, that's nice. You're not doing anything. On the next turn, I'm gonna Eldritch Blast again, and I'm just gonna keep using the best individual move in the game.
It just sucks because it's so boring. Like
It is.
it's like literally playing a video game and being like, all I do is hit the button A. That's all I did the entire game. I hit A, and it was the best attack. I couldn't do any better.
Yeah, there was a couple of things on, like min-maxing and stuff, and just because there's a better build out there doesn't mean you have to play it. Okay,
No.
I understand that some people, because I used to be one of them, some people have to, right? Like back at 3.5, when you had to go on the forums, right, to get the best build with the most broken, you can do. Did you realize you could do 58,000 damage on one roll of the dice, Mike?
No, I did
You can
not.
take down Zeus with a ranger. It's incredible. I used to be that guy, and it created some real highlight moments, but it didn't allow for a lot of really cool role playing because my character couldn't have any flavor because it had to have all of these specific things. You had to have these 10 specific things to make it work, and then 8 specific pieces of equipment, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The stars had to align, and
It's kind of like when you're playing Magic the Gathering and you get almost the perfect hand, then you spend the entire game waiting for the perfect hand.
Yeah. No, and again, if that's how you want to play, that's great. But we have a lot of people that I can only play the thing that does the most. I can only do the thing that causes the most damage, or is the best looking and speaks the best, is the best in social encounters. Sometimes you're gonna fail, and sometimes those are the really memorable things.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think that that's that, people play how they want to, and sometimes you can find groups that allow you to play to your strengths. Like I think that when we played Eat the Reich, it wasn't my normal type of game, but I enjoyed the hell out of playing a super badass vampire running through Paris in 1943. Like that was a hell of a good time, and not a typical thing that I would normally have played. And then, like when you flip that and you play something a little bit different, I played a vegan mushroom farmer in the Dresden Files that was part investigator, part useless. And I couldn't figure out, and it was like, how am I supposed to help with anything?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to revitalize the neighborhood. Why are there paranormal things happening? And, it's just like, and it was an interesting twist to go between those kind of like ultra capable versus how, like, Scooby-Doo, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like kind of moments.
No, I think you can swing to there's extremes, and I think the extremes, while they can be fun, aren't ideal for me. How's that? I would rather be somewhere in the middle. Have some drawbacks, some strengths.
Yeah.
Not know everything. Be a little clueless.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Offer somebody shares in your artisanal cider business.
You should. I'm actually curious what our in between game is going to be after the last Flight of the Ghazali. I was thinking of a few different things because it's kind of like I like the idea of a palate cleanser before getting back into it. Like
I do too.
Something different, something short, something different, just to kind of be like, well, this game was all about like weird shit and dark horror and all that. So what is the opposite of weird shit, dark horror RPG? D&D? Damn.
We'll have to talk. I got a couple of ideas. I don't know enough about them yet. And like one of them, I'm not sure. I think the players would have fun. I don't know if you'd have fun running the game. So we'll have to talk about that.
I got Marvel Multiverse this weekend, so we'll see how it all goes. I say that like I say that because I'm optically kind of a little skeptical of the system right now. But maybe I come back and I'll become a convert. Like, it's the best system ever. D616 changed my life.
Yeah, they're Yeah, I don't know. I superhero role playing is a tough sell for me.
No.
I would love to play the X-Men, and I just don't see how it's going to work. Um, do you have a personal hot take? I was wondering. Do you have a controversial hot take?
Do I have a controversial hot take? Um,
Unpopular one, if you will, about role playing in general.
you know, I'm not sure I do. To tell you the truth, at least. If I would have thought about this maybe earlier today, I might have been able to
Sure.
come up with one by now.
No, I realize I'm hitting you cold
Especially,
with this.
no, it's okay because it's kind of interesting because the idea that like because it's like, well, what would be a hot take? I would say my own personal hot take is that I oh this is one that I don't this is one for me I guess
Okay.
is that while I like collaborative storytelling, I do prefer that it's not a free for all and that there's directed storytelling from a game master. Take that, suck at
No,
players. Like
no, I
like
no, I think that's good.
it's not that I wouldn't try it, but after reading like the Shadowrun Anarchy rules, for example, where it's just like ideas bouncing off in every
They're
which
pretty
way,
loosey
like
goosey considering how
I was like,
crunchy Shadowrun is. The
I was
regular main Shadowrun rules.
like that. I just was like, no, no, no. I just can't do it. I had to modify the Shadowrun rules for Anarchy. Remember, I was
You
like,
did.
we're gonna do
No,
this a little bit differently
I could
because
tell your brain was going to break.
we had to dial it down instead of dial it up to 11 we dialed it down to a 6 because I feel like that the best experiences I've had in the hobby do require some direction, maybe not a super amount of plotting from the DM, maybe kind of a little bit
Sure.
of respect, but I feel like having somebody direct that fun and all that stuff is important.
No, I think it
And
is.
yeah, so I'm not saying you can't have fun, I'm just saying think it's I think I've had better experiences that way. What about you? Do you have a hot take that you saw out there?
I am going to share one that Brent had. That if you make a role playing game and you make proprietary dice that are d6s with proprietary symbols, no one should buy your game.
It's just
Because
proprietary dice.
if you have proprietary dice and proprietary symbols on d6s, and then you have to have a conversion chart so people can read them to
Mm-hmm.
know what they all mean instead of just saying that if you get three threes and a four, it's this. No, if you get a moon, a star, I don't know, is that a boot? I can't tell. What is it?
It's a cat in a
Like
top hat,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Nobody can ever figure it out. Um, we all realize that they're cash grabs, and you're just
Mhm.
trying to get us to buy your crappy set of dice instead of letting us use, I don't know, all of the dice that we already own.
You dice goblin. Too many dice.
I have too many dice, and I don't even touch a lot of people's dice collections. I got a lot, but I don't have as many as a lot of people.
Dice is a big industry. I think Big Dice is going to come after us for this hot take, buddy. Just so you
They
know.
might, but since Brent's not here, I thought I would throw in one. I know one of Brent's, maybe he's not saying your game shouldn't be bought, but it's stupid, and you should just use regular d6s.
Fair enough. So Brent did get to participate, maybe unknowingly, but he did share
Yeah,
that opinion. I remember him saying that. Um, so honestly, I think there's a fun Reddit thread just to kind of like dive in um, and see what was happening out there, what people's opinions are. It's fun. Honestly, I like it. So if you guys want to join the discussion, anybody that's listening, go in there, hop in. These kind of things tend to die after a couple days. People start seeing them less. The algorithm shuffles it to the back into the
yes,
dustbin. So it's kind of probably at the tail end of the interest for all but the most ardent viewers of the the thread, but it's still a fun one to skim and all that kind of stuff. And so I think at that we're probably going to go ahead and leave it there for this week. Our next episode will be about something. I would like to preview something, but I think we're still in the brainstorming process of what's coming next. So look forward to it. But that also means that if you haven't subscribe to us, please do. And if you want to use that notification bell so that you know when we have additional episodes or talk about or whatever we're doing or plays or whatever the hell is on the channel, you could use that too. All those are fun. But really, if you want to subscribe, that's fine. It's free. If you want to comment, that's more fun because then we get to talk with you. So
Yeah.
and if they want to carry that conversation out into social media and into the wild wasteland that it is, how would they do that, Jeff?
They would search for @Rollwise. We are on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky. Most of the, not all, but most.
Mhm.
And you can also email us if you need to, rollwiseguys@gmail.com.
All right. So let us know. Give us opinions. Let us know what you're playing, what you'd like to see us play, our thoughts, all that stuff. And we will catch you next time. And stay safe out there, I believe is how Brad ends it, right?
Roll well, roll wise, be safe out there.
That's it. That's the one. See you guys.